we go.
Good afternoon. Thank you everybody for joining us. This afternoon we'll be covering AT&T during our case study. And in this case study, we'll be covering AT&T's, a summary of AT&T, a background, an overall view of their financials, and some strategic concerns, and also some recommendations. And with that, my name is Andrew Howald, and I will let the rest of the team introduce themselves as well before we get started. Autumn?
Hi, my name is Autumn Johnson.
Hey, I'm Jason Limbacher.
Hi, I'm Jim Boucher.
All right, we'll go ahead and jump in, and I'll start with the background here. So just some quick background on AT&T. They actually claim to go back to 1876 when Alexander Graham Bell invents the telephone, and he actually starts the Bell Telephone Company. In 1984, Southwestern Bell Company, or SBC Global, is formed, and that's off of the Bell Telephone Company group. In 97 through 2006, they spent the decade acquiring the Baby Bell companies, companies like Bell South and Pacific Bell, and became the largest home telephone company in the United States. Also in 2006, they acquired Singular Wireless, and this kind of shaped AT&T for the future as wireless service would become more important than their home phone service. In 2013, they also acquired Cricket and some companies in Mexico to start AT&T Mexico. In 2015, they purchased DirecTV, making them the largest pay-for-TV service provider, and really transforming them from a telecommunications company into an all-around entertainment company. And then finally, in 2016, they acquired Time Warner. This boosted both their TV and their mobility subscriber base, even more cementing them as an entertainment company in the industry.
Thank you, Jason. So moving on to AT&T strategy, I first want to quote the actual AT&T mission to level set what AT&T is trying to accomplish. AT&T's mission is to inspire human progress through the power of communication and entertainment. So AT&T has two strategies, one being their corporate level strategy and two being their business level strategy. The corporate level strategy really focuses on concentrated growth. Additionally, the corporate level strategy focuses on product development. This corporate strategy focuses mainly on the development of new products for the new increasing markets. Third, market development. Market development includes both demographic and geographic growth. And finally, for the corporate level strategy, they focus on diversification, innovation, and strategic partnerships. This means diversifying their portfolio through acquiring businesses as well as corporations, which relates to in its terms of markets, technology, as well as products they choose to partner with. The business level strategy, on the other hand, focuses on two main things. The first being their cost strategy. The cost strategy, in short, relies on providing very competitive pricing to the variety of numerous services that it avails in the US market. The other business level strategy is their market strategy. The market business level strategy has been favored mostly by the quality, branding, and promotion practiced by AT&T. Slide.
So the five forces model, moving into that. So AT&T is part of the integrated telecommunications services industry. It is a very highly concentrated industry. It's very mature at this point, and the top four companies carry more than 70% of the industry's market share. So the way that the companies tend to compete in this industry is strictly through price. There's heavy price competition. Slide. The next force we'll look at is the bargaining power of suppliers. So suppliers have a moderate strength for sure in this relationship. Their products are of high demand for companies in this industry, and they're an essential part of business for those top players. So supplier decisions can heavily impact the supply chain operations and profitability for companies with different suppliers and their relationships with them. Looking over at the bargaining power of buyers, there's a high strength that buyers have in those relationships, thinking about consumers per se. So consumers have a very much of an increased choice of communication means these days. They have more than just a telephone they can use to communicate with their loved ones across the globe at this point. And they also have an increased availability of information for buyers when it comes to choosing where they want to do their business or how they want communicate with their friends, what communication mean they want to use. And they also usually typically experience low switching costs. It's easy for them to go from one brand to another and it not hurt them so bad as it would actually hurt the company they are switching from. Slide. Okay, so the next force we have is threat of new entry. So we see a low threat in this force. There are definitely high barriers in this industry, and it's hard for young new companies to compete against your industry giants like AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, and T-Mobile. You really need to have great innovation and high capital when entering this industry if you want to survive as a new young company. And looking at our last force here is the threat of substitutes. There's a moderate threat when it comes to that. So there are different substitutes available. We'd say a moderate threat of that, but there's a very low performance to price ratio. So while consumers have different options and substitutes they can use instead of different things available in the industry of telecommunications, the performance level is very much lower compared to what industry of telecommunications offers. So they're less likely to choose a substitute because it's better for them to stay with the company and industry that is providing them with enhanced service and increased data and things like that. So it's kind of a moderate low threat when it comes to are they going to switch to a substitute in this industry. Slide.
Thank you, Autumn. So covering AT&T's driving forces, we decided there are four main driving forces that AT&T focuses on. The first one being the technological factors, meaning the recent technology developments by competitors, technology's impact on the products that AT&T offers, and then the impact on cost structure in the telecom services that technology creates. The second driving force that AT&T should consider are the social factors. These are demographics and skill level of the population, leisure interests, and the overall attitudes, the health, environmental, and consciousness of its consumers. Third are the economic factors. The economic factors are the type of economic system in which the countries that AT&T operates in, the government intervention, how little or how much the government is involved within telecom industries, and the overall skill and education level of the workforce within these actual regions that AT&T is operating in. And last are the political factors. So the political factors really focus on the political stability and the importance of the telecom services that AT&T is trying to provide, the trade regulations and tariffs related to technology and within the telecom services, and lastly, the bureaucracy and interfaces in telecom services. Slide.
All right, next we'll talk about the key success factors in the industry as a whole. So as we've talked about, cell phones are becoming more and more of a daily use and more needed in consumers' lives. However, with the increase of the things that cell phones can do, the actual phone call is being used less and less. So that means that these companies in this industry are really going to have to work on data, connectivity, and network speed. Consumers want more data and they want it faster. So having the fastest connectivity or having the most connectivity, the fastest network speed, the largest group of networks is going to be important for any brand going forward in this industry. When we talk about 5G and beyond, these sorts of infrastructure and networks that they're going to provide are going to be key going forward. We also talk about exclusive and original content. So as mentioned earlier, AT&T is more than just a telecommunication company now. They're now an entertainment company. This includes television and content as well. Some of the things that make, or some of the companies now that AT&T is competing with are these streaming companies such as Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney Plus, and so forth. What makes those companies so successful is their exclusive and original content. Having content that customers want to see and being the only one that's able to provide that is going to be crucial in the entertainment game as we go forward. And many consumers are going to pick who they do business with based on the content that company provides. So having that exclusive and original content that consumers want to see is going to be absolutely necessary. We also see an ecosystem approach to entertainment and communications. I like to think about this and compare it to an Amazon. So Amazon has kind of created this ecosystem that once they get a customer inside of it, they're able to keep that customer inside of it for all sorts of different needs. Because once, as a consumer, we get into an ecosystem, if I'm able to go get product A and product B at the same place, I'm most likely going to do that for a convenience factor. And we see that with these companies as well. As we mentioned, communications and entertainment, AT&T is kind of doing both now. Their competitors as well, right? Comcast is moving from just having television to having wireless service as well. And this ecosystem is going to be important as we go forward in this industry of being able to tie the two together. When you talk about data, communication, and entertainment, they all kind of flow in the same network, and it's going to be crucial that AT&T is able to make that ecosystem for their customers. And finally, again, going back to the streaming services like your Netflix, your Hulu, your Disney Plus, a streaming service centric company is going to be what is going to survive on the other end of the entertainment business. People are subscribing less and less to your standard cable or satellite companies, and they're going for that streaming service. Again, talking about the importance of data, being able to stream the content wherever they are on whatever device they may have is going to be crucial for any company in this industry.
So that moves us on to our SWOT analysis. Now, the SWOT analysis, what I'm going to cover first are the strengths that we consider for AT&T. The first strength for AT&T is the infrastructure. The second is customer satisfaction. Being a market leader, its large, diversified business portfolio, and last, the reliable suppliers that AT&T deals with.
About weakness, I would like to introduce these five. And the first one is the lack of flexibility. And you know that's a common weakness from having a vast size, complex structure we have. And the smaller and more flexible competitor can bring new products to market faster with lower development cost. And about the low upgrade, the low upgrade rates are hurting its wireless equipment revenue, is according to the AT&T's report. And this is not surprising because the update rate has been declining for many years because of a lack of enough new features in the smartphone sequence. And the proportion of customers upgrading their equipment at AT&T hit a new low last year. And the third one is pay TV service. You know, from the acquisition of DirecTV, AT&T began to vary its pay TV, but right now the situation is the pay TV have been soon have a tough time making money. So it's a big weakness. And finally is also the first is the product cannibalization. AT&T may find that its new service will be a replacement for its own current other service. For example, the 5G service may cannibalize its fixed network access and enterprise users. And also pay TV was cutting into AT&T's satellite and phone line TV series. And the last one is decreasing of customer. According to the AT&T report full year results, is premium TV and AT&T TV now lose large number of subscribers, more than the analysts expect. So yeah, slides.
Okay, so in the opportunities portion of the SWOT analysis, we're seeing opportunities for AT&T in sponsorship. I believe that anytime a brand is able to be part of a different market or different industry, they can just strengthen their brand recognition and presence and can potentially grow their customer base. We also see opportunity in streaming. As mentioned before, DirecTV did purchase, AT&T purchased DirecTV at a time when consumers were starting to switch to streaming services. So it became kind of a bad thing at the time, but I do think there's opportunity for AT&T to focus more into streaming to become competitive in that environment. The next opportunity we have is cloud computing. So currently, cloud computing is valued at $127 billion. So I think the increase in demand in that is just going to grow. And so for AT&T to truly grow more of a presence in that and to more of a focus on cloud computing, they can just become more of a stronger competitive player in that market. Another opportunity we have for them is high bandwidth. So high bandwidth, we're expecting it to grow by 57%. So it's just going to continue to get stronger and faster, and people are going to keep using the internet, as we know. So AT&T just keep a focus on that and keep consumers choosing them and their internet services so they can keep that data usage up. The last opportunity we're having for them is their renewable energy purchase. So AT&T decided to do a recent purchase of renewable energy. This made them a pioneer from the industry for the response to climate change. This is a great opportunity for them to really get positive publicity and to lead the way for the rest of the industry and to, kind of build on their corporate social responsibility right now. People are going to look at them and hopefully trust and value their decisions and hopefully follow suit.
Awesome. So now we'll move to the threats, and the threats that we have start with market saturation. So as Autumn had mentioned a few slides back, this is a very mature market. The opportunity for new subscribers is very low. And not only that, but there are about 4 companies that are essentially running these industries in the US today. With that also comes, as she mentioned, price wars. So as those 4 large carriers try to cannibalize subscribers from each other, they continue to compete in price wars. And as we know, with price wars, it can get to a certain point where companies start to price themselves out of making money through those price wars. Andrew had mentioned federal regulations. This will always be a possible threat on AT&T's radar as the FCC heavily regulates everything that's done in the telecommunication industry. So we always have to consider those as we move forward. We've mentioned a few times streaming services. Streaming services are certainly a threat. The last numbers that we had seen is that in 2009, there were about 10% of consumers that paid for a streaming service. In 2019, that had jumped to almost 70%. So we're talking about a 60% increase in just under a decade. This is a huge threat for AT&T as a company that provides a traditional satellite and traditional cable services. We will continue to see that streaming services are beginning to become the new norm, and they're taking away subscribers from those cable and satellite businesses. Lastly, low bargaining power. Autumn had also mentioned this a little bit. AT&T has a very low bargaining power when it comes to bargaining with their customers. As she said, it's easy for customers to switch from one company to another. So that's low bargaining power for AT&T. On the flip side of that, in the telecommunications industry, they also have low bargaining power when it comes to bargaining with their device providers. Samsung and Apple currently have about 92% of the market when it comes to cell phone devices. So because those 2 companies are so essential, and those are the devices that consumers want, AT&T has very low bargaining power when it comes to bargaining with those companies.
Okay, so I'm going to compare AT&T, Verizon, which is biggest competitor, and the industry through 6 financial ratio to find out what point AT&T can improve. Slide. So AT&T's ROE and ROA cannot be considered satisfactory. Loss of ratio was almost equal to the industry average, but has been far away from its biggest competitor. Let us focus on ROE, and Verizon's 116.6% ROE was 10 times that of AT&T's, which just have 14% in 2015. And despite Verizon's experience and rapid decline, AT&T was only 1/3 of its viewers at the end of 2019. Such performance was not conducive to attracting investors and had a greater negative impact on the company's sustainable growth. Slides. And about the AT&T's performance of GTM, it was terrible between 2015 and 2018, which was below both of its biggest competitor and industry. This situation has improved in 2019 with a 53.6% GPM higher than the industry's, but still slightly below Verizon's 58.5. So that AT&T need to continue to improve this performance, create better products, and provide better service and thrive. So in terms of OPM, there's exact upside of its performance of GPM, and you could see that it needs a higher level to cope with the rising industry average, which reached its peak in 2019. Management had done a great job on the operation during 2015 to 2019, and OPM has been higher than the industry level in these 4 years. So, however, they didn't meet industry expectation in 2019, so they should do a better job. And next slide. Net margin performance was actually not so bad compared to its gross margin performance. MPN reached its peak in the last 5 years in 2017, and which is 18.3%, and maintained above industry standard in 2018 and 2019. But the last year's performance was the worst during the past 5 years. Guys. Due to the ongoing economic crisis caused by the COVID-19, we would like to analyze the situation of companies' cash flow, the leverage free cash flow regime. And according to the data, we can see that AT&T has strong solvencies to deal with crisis, which has consistently maintained LFCFM of more than 9.4% and reached its peak last year, while Verizon just got 9.5% and industry was only 1.9%. Therefore, we believe there is a great possibility for AT&T to recover from this crisis and win again next round. Slide.
So our strategic concerns, the 5 we have really put a focus on include a decline in voice calls, a saturated market, different brands in the entertainment sector, large debt, and the COVID-19 pandemic and economic crisis it has created. Slide. So our first recommendation after looking at those concerns is to launch an AT&T video conference platform. So the volume of outgoing mobile calls has dropped by 2.5 billion. And the solution to that problem is to increase data traffic by increasing internet communications. So the video conference platform is currently, that market is valued at 3.02 billion and expected to reach 6.37 billion by 2026. So we think AT&T should really jump in on this and be part of that 6.37 billion, hopefully by 2026. So it'd be an opportunity for them to compete in a unique market and expand their communication services to new and existing customers. Slide. So the implementation suggestion for this recommendation would be a 1-year implementation time. Give them time to do their research and to engineer what's needed to truly implement this new service. And then we created a 3-level pricing plan. This came from looking at what Zoom currently offers and trying to find a competitive price in between that could bring customers from Zoom, the current leader, over to AT&T, and to also honor and stay loyal to our current AT&T customers, keeping them using AT&T and keeping that data usage up. So the 3 levels we have here is a basic plan. This option would be $9.99 per month, and it would hold 100 participants in the meeting up to 1 hour. Now the basic plan would be free to AT&T customers. So this would keep them on the line, on data usage, and communicating with your platform. The second level would be professional. It would be a $15.99 per month plan with 300 participants on the call at one time up to 24 hours. And the enterprise level would be $21.99 per month with 500 participants, and it would be an unlimited meeting time. So 3 different levels for 3 different possible reasons for why you would need to do a video conference call and reasons to switch over to AT&T's pricing plan and keep using your data you already have with AT&T, or maybe switch over and become an AT&T customer all the way around. So unique features that would differentiate AT&T's conference calls from Zoom or any other form of video conferencing would to have different unique features. So maybe you could enhance something with virtual games. Maybe you and a friend on a video conference call could play a game of some sort through the video platform. And of course have visual enhancements and maybe different filters. Everybody loves filters in social media, so why not just keep with the filters going? And this would be a very quick response and proactive measures for continued success for AT&T, because we know that people are continue to use the internet. People love to communicate, and if they're not communicating voice calls, they're going to communicate by typing on the phone, by video conferencing calls. So if we're on the internet, we're still using AT&T services, so we just need to keep giving them more opportunities to do that. Slide.
All right, so our second recommendation involves around consolidating some AT&T entertainment brands, and again, talking about streaming and original content, which we've seen has been a bit of a theme throughout our presentation here. So the first thing to know is that AT&T has too many AT&T entertainment brands. They have DirecTV, they have Uverse, they have Time Warner Cable, they have HBO Go and Now, which is their only really streaming service that they have, as well as they've just started AT&T TV, which is just another brand of kind of a traditional cable streaming mix. We think that this weakens the individual brands with a declining subscriber base. So when you have this many different companies and you're competing against yourself with those companies in an already declining industry, this is some trouble. And we have resources going out to all these different brands, again, in an industry that's not necessarily dying, but is certainly on the decline. Traditional cable brands also lack the ability, the adaptability and features. So when you talk about streaming and being able to get content immediately on any device and anywhere, and those sort of things, those traditional cable companies or satellite companies just aren't able to do that. Consumer habits, again, are trending towards a subscription-based streaming service. We talk about, Netflix having over 70 million subscribers now. Disney Plus, who just started a few months ago, is already up to close to 30 million subscribers in their base. That's just kind of where the consumer habits are going, and consumers have decided that that's the way that they want to consume their entertainment needs. And they're also looking for original and exclusive content. So while AT&T does own some exclusive and original content, we've got to figure out a way that we can take that and turn that into more subscribers for the company as a whole. So what the implementation looks like is we want to legacy the AT&T brand. So when you talk about Uverse, DirecTV, and Time Warner, we want to slowly phase those out. And I say slowly, we have a 5-year plan. The reason that we want to go with a 5-year plan is that we want it to be somewhat short term, but at the same time, we're talking about millions of subscribers that are on these platforms now. So we got to give them time to kind of switch over and to move to this new product. So we want to build one universal, strong AT&T entertainment brand. The brand is already there, it's AT&T TV, but we just want to focus all resources on that. And again, start moving that subscriber base that is already currently on some of our other programs into this one brand and get them universal and together. And again, be able to really focus our resources on that. So the way that we're going to incentivize those customers to switch within those 5 years, we're going to offer the first month of service free. So when you're switching from your DirecTV or your Uverse or your Time Warner, we're going to offer that first month of service free so you can come check it out, see what it's all about. In that case, consumers are going to be able to even keep their old DirecTV or Uverse if they want, just to say, hey, I'm going to keep it for now. I'm going to test this first month for free. If I decide it's not for me, then I can go a different direction. But we're confident that the streaming abilities and some of the other features that we're going to add are going to get them to come over. We're also going to do a 90-day money back and switch back guarantee. So if in 90 days you feel like this isn't the service that you want, or you want to go back to your traditional cable or satellite service, we're going to be able to do that for you without any issues. And finally, we're going to include HBO as a full offering that's going to be included with our AT&T TV service. When I say full offering, we believe that we're going to be able to leverage HBO's original and exclusive content because we already own some of that, and offer some of that content exclusively through our AT&T TV app. So while HBO will still be available through other companies and other providers. We are going to have some original and exclusive content that we're only going to offer through the AT&T TV app to, again, entice those customers to say, hey, if I want to get that exclusive and original content, I got to come over to the AT&T TV streaming service. And again, hopefully bring those customers over.
Thanks, Jason. So our third recommendation is to be socially responsible. So today is actually April 5th, and we are currently going through the world's biggest economic crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. So given that, what we're going through and what every company is facing, we want AT&T to uplift the customers and the general public by taking a proactive and socially conscious approach to deal with this COVID-19 pandemic. We want to provide customers with benefits and payment graces to people that are dealing with these extremely difficult economic times. And we want to also continue to provide the excellent customer service that AT&T provides today. Really, the recommendation here is do not be on the wrong side of history. We do not want to be the company that is remembered that during the worst economic crisis that the United States has faced, that we would be trying to buy back stocks, sell off portions of our portfolio to gain cash, and to try to recoup as much revenue as possible. Slide. How do you do that, you ask? So what we want to do is provide the following perks and billing graces to our AT&T customers and consumers. So we want to waive data caps for individuals and small businesses and our broadband consumers, and we do not want to enforce overage fees or late payments for the next 90 days. We want to offer all schools and universities 60 days of unlimited data for laptops, tablets, and hotspots. So our university, Middle Tennessee State University, is now currently closed. There are no on-campus courses. That causes a big problem for students trying to access their courses, and they're doing that online like we are doing today. So what we want to do is not actually shut down and try to gain that monetary value out of all these people using our telecom services. We want to offer those services for free for 60 days while they finish this semester. Third, we want to keep all public Wi-Fi hotspots open for anybody who wants to use them. So a lot of people rely on public Wi-Fi spots. A lot of people go to Starbucks to do work. They go to McDonald's to do work. And obviously you can't do that right now with social distancing, but you can still access a lot of public Wi-Fi spots by simply sitting in your car. And what we found online is that a lot of people are relying on these Wi-Fi hotspots to actually interact with their loved ones so they cannot see in person today. Another implementation we want to do is provide our internet customers, as well as those who are fixed wireless internet, unlimited internet data. So we know right now that all telecom services actually restrict internet data, and what we want to do is we want to break that restriction down. Again, we want people during these hard times to be able to talk and speak to the ones that they love without being fiscally responsible for that action. And lastly, the perk of our content, we want to make the following premium channels for the next 60 days absolutely free. That is Showtime, Stars, Epix, HBO, and Cinemax. The reason for that is we are focusing on social distancing over the next 60 to 90 days, and people have to stay home. Well, when you're staying home, you have to entertain yourself. And offering this exclusive content will help people entertain themselves in a productive way. Slide. So that being said, we'd like to open the floor up to any questions or concerns that you may have as a group.